3 years ago, Sarah Everard was abducted, raped, and murdered by an off-duty serving police officer. It was a gut-wrenching betrayal, an abuse of power of the most egregious kind, and the country was shaken to its core. My predecessor, my right honourable friend, the member for Witham, established an inquiry to examine the many failings arising from the Sarah Everard case, and it was chaired by Lady Elish Angiolini, KC. Part 1 focuses on Wayne Couzens' career and previous behaviour. A report dealing with Part 1's findings has today been published. First and foremost, I would take this time to think about Sarah Everard's family and her loved ones at what must be an incredibly difficult time. And I pay tribute to them all for the immense dignity that they have shown in the face of such an unbearable loss in such terrible circumstances. Tragically, the report identifies that Couzens was completely unsuitable to serve as a police officer, and worse still, that there were multiple occasions where this could have been recognised. Lady Elish found significant and repeated problems in recruitment and vetting throughout Couzens' career, including overlooking his chaotic financial situation. This meant that he was able to serve in a range of privileged roles, including as a firearms officer. It is appalling that reports of indecent exposure by Couzens were not taken sufficiently seriously by the police, and that officers were not adequately trained, equipped, or motivated to properly investigate those allegations. Had fuller inquiries been made in 2015 and 2020, Couzens could, perhaps probably would, have been removed from policing. Evidence of his preference for extreme and violent pornography and alleged sexual offending date back nearly 20 years prior to Sarah Everard's murder. And the inquiry found that Couzens was adept at hiding his grossly offensive behaviour from most of his colleagues, but that he shared his vile and misogynistic views on a WhatsApp group. The other members of that group are no longer serving officers after a range of disciplinary processes. The fact that many of his alleged victims felt unable to report their experience at the time speaks to an issue of confidence in policing among women. I wish to place on record my thanks to Lady Elish and her team for this report. It is a deeply distressing but incredibly important piece of work, and they have approached it with thoroughness, professionalism, and sensitivity. And we all owe thanks to the brave testimony of those who came forward and spoke to the inquiry. Everyone who Couzens hurt is in my thoughts today. The report makes 16 recommendations, and they include improving the police response to indecent exposure, reforming police recruitment and vetting practices, and addressing cultures within policing. The government will now, of course, carefully consider the report and respond formally in due course, and I can assure the House our response will be prompt. We are taking action to address public confidence in the police, and there has already been progress in a number of areas that have been highlighted by the inquiry. Anyone who is not fit to wear the uniform for whatever reason must be removed from policing, and every effort must be made to ensure that similar people never join. That is why we're providing funding to the National Police Chiefs Council to develop an automated system for flagging intelligence about officers in a much quicker time than is currently the case. We're changing the rules to make it easier for forces to remove those who cannot hold the minimum level of clearance. And police chiefs are getting back the responsibility for chairing misconduct hearings so that they can better uphold the standards in the forces that they lead. And there will be a presumption for dismissal for any officer found to have committed gross misconduct. And I can announce today that there will also be an automatic suspension of police officers charged with certain criminal offences. But the work must continue. Part 2 of the Angiolini report is considering systemic issues in policing, such as vetting, recruitment and the culture, as well as the safety of women in public spaces. I will, of course, read those findings closely and with care. Madam Deputy Speaker, Sarah Everard's murder started a national conversation about violence and women and girls. And my right honourable friend, the member for Witham, reopened a call for evidence which went on to receive 180,000 responses from members of the public, many sharing their own harrowing personal experience. That evidence demonstrated the terrible truth that women and girls routinely feel unsafe. This is unacceptable. This should anger us all, and the whole of society needs to treat change in this area as an urgent priority. Tackling violence against women and girls is and has for a long time been a priority for me. It is now a priority set out in the strategic policing requirement, meaning it is rightly considered to be something as serious in our focus as tackling terrorism. Our tackling violence against women and girls strategy and tackling domestic abuse plans are backed up by significant investment. We are changing the law so that rapists will serve their full sentence behind bars with no option of release at the 2/3 point. And anyone who commits murder with a sexual or sadistic element will spend the rest of their days in prison. Our Safer Streets Fund and Safety of Women at Night Fund support a range of projects across England and Wales. The online Street Safe tool enables the public to anonymously report areas where they feel unsafe and why they feel that. And there is a new national operating model for investigation of rape and serious sexual offences. It means that the police and prosecutors will work more closely together, building stronger cases that focus on the behaviour of the suspect and place victims at the heart of everything. And we've launched a nationwide behaviour change campaign called Enough, to bring about an enduring shift in attitudes and behaviours that underpin the abuse of women and girls. Madam Deputy Speaker, most police officers, of course, use their powers to serve the public bravely and well. But when they fall short, the impact can be devastating. Society cannot function properly where trust in police is eroded. And I'm unambiguous that police forces must keep improving and must command the confidence of the people that they serve. And it's imperative that police leadership, of whatever rank, plays their part in this endeavour. I want once again to express my heartfelt sympathy to Sarah Everard's family and friends. I cannot begin to imagine the extent of the pain that they have felt. But together we must do everything possible to stop such agony being visited on others, to rebuild public trust, and to make sure that our streets and public places, as well as the private realm, are safe for women and girls, and I commend this statement to the House.